my name is Amanda. Welcome to my channel. So this is my O.W.L.s wrap up, and you guys, I finished all 12 books. I know, that's crazy. If you haven't seen my TBR for it and everything that I linked to all of these books, I'll leave it in the cards up above so you guys can go ahead and check it out, because I went for Alchemist and that's crazy. So, you know, I was inspired and I love Harry Potter, so it was only natural to go for the hardest one, which I'm probably going to go ahead and smack myself later because the newts are going to be really, really hard, but you know, it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and go through all of the books that I read and give like a quick review to them. The first one is The Giver by Lois Lowry. I do not know why I have not read this before. This right here was phenomenal, to the point where I bought the movie. I don't know how the movie is, but it looks like it's a really great cast. I love this and I cannot wait to finish the series. This right here is like the dystopian. This made me so happy, and it's kind of like everybody's assigned a role at a certain age. You stop having toys at a certain age. It's really kind of hard to describe. It's not necessarily a communism society. I guess it kind of is a communism society, but it gives a whole new meaning to the word memories and having memories, because only one person controls all the memories, and this focuses on Jonah, and Jonah is, oh, I don't even know how to describe it. He is a kid who is part of this family, and the family only allows 2 children, and I can't put it into words without spoiling it for you guys. Just, if you have not read this, this is a 5-star book. You guys need to. It's not that long, and I definitely recommend the audio because the audio was just great. So definitely go ahead and check that out. The next one is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. This was the first book I read because it is the longest, and I've heard mixed reviews about this book, but I absolutely loved it. Whenever I first started to read it, I said, uh-oh, politics. But it really wasn't about that at all. Her dad is a politician, and also her mom died 5 years beforehand, and her dad gets into some issues, and he is basically put under investigation, and because of that, her plans ends up changing, and she ends up becoming a dog walker, and it's just a really good, feel-good book. I loved it. I loved how it ended. I just loved all of the characters. You really felt like you got to know them all the friends, the love interest in this book. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it so much. So the next 2 books is P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han, and Always and Forever Lara Jean. And again, I'm glad I went ahead, I finished this series, but you know, by the 3rd book, by this one, I found her to be kind of annoying. And I hate saying that, because to me, she was just a really goody-goody. She didn't want to do anything wrong, ever. And it just didn't sit with me right. It just seems like she's one of those condescending goody two-shoes that says, you shouldn't do that. That's the kind of impression that I ended up getting about Lara Jean by the end of the 3rd book. I do like the way that it ended, but I have to say it was extremely predictable. I would recommend, if you guys are going to go ahead and read this series, I would stop after the first one, to be honest, because after that, it just becomes a predictable mess. Or just watch the movie. I haven't watched the movie on Netflix, but I'm just saying, you know, it just becomes very predictable. In fact, I was talking to my friend Brandy, and I said, well, I know how this is going to go. So predictable. So The next book is called Winning, and this one is by Lara Deloza, and I hated this book. I think I gave this in fact, I know I gave this a 1 star. This is about a girl who goes ahead and tries out for, or who wants to be prom queen, because the only way to get to be Miss America is to be prom queen. And, you know, I'm not exactly sure who, I think this right here is probably meant for people that are like 12 or 13, but yet at the same time, I don't know. It's very petty and catty and childish, and I just was not a fan of this book at all, and I'm glad I found it on audio. Otherwise, I think I heard this on audio. I think so. Either way, this book, definitely pass on this. I don't think I'm going to even read this author anymore because that was just too much. Another book that I read was Agatha, and then there were none by Agatha Christie. This is also published as 10 Little Indians. And this right here is one of her most popular books. And I have to say, I'm not a fan of Agatha Christie. If this is any indication, I was bored to death with this book. And I know that's a pretty unpopular opinion, but I was just bored to death. And I just, I've listened to some short stories by Agatha Christie, but I didn't want to make a judgment on those books. I wanted to read a full-length novel. And I think I have a couple more Agatha Christie books, but this is just boring to me. I don't know. I just didn't like it. I don't remember what I gave it. Maybe I gave it 2 or 3 stars, but I was being nice because it's Agatha Christie. But, you know, at least I went ahead and I read it. So that's something. And then the next one is On the Run by Bill Myers. And I loved it. This is the first book in the Elijah Project series. This one is really short. It's definitely for kids, but it is a Christian novel, and it's a Christian series. And I loved it because I love Bill Myers and I love Christian fiction stories. And this one right here is fascinating. This little boy, he's part of this family, and he has some gifts. And they are always on the run because of this boy. And so yeah, you'll definitely have to read it because it's pretty fascinating. I loved it. In fact, I ended up checking out the rest of the series, which was on Hoopla. So I'm pretty excited to finish this whole series. I don't think it's going to be very long, considering it wasn't even 100 pages. I think it was like 99 pages. So yeah. The next one is a nonfiction book. This one was This Star Won't Go Out by Esther Earl, with Lori and Wayne Earl, who is her parents, and there was an introduction by John Green. This one made me cry. You know, if you don't know about Esther Earl, she is the one that inspired The Fault in Our Stars, and this girl was so strong, and she hid her sadness from her parents, basically cried at night, and it was just sad. You have her diary entries and how she was feeling, and it's just, this one, it just made me really, really sad, and how sick she was. But, you know, she went ahead and she was a Harry Potter fanatic, and she was part of that online, and she had a lot of online friends and a lot of people that cared for her. And in fact, her Make-A-Wish was to meet some of her online friends, and they came out, and John Green came out, and it was great. I loved it. Okay, so the next book is by Melissa De La Cruz, and this is The Isle of the Lost. I love this. This is based, the Descendants movie is based off of this. You have the descendants of the evil characters who are basically banished to this island, and it's all about them, and it gives a whole new perspective of the goody-goodies and them, and I loved it, and I can't wait to finish the series. This one right here is by Araminta Hall, and it's called Everything and Nothing. I absolutely loved this book. Love this book. I love Araminta Hall, and I definitely want to go ahead and read more from her. This is just great. I absolutely loved it. I think I gave this 4 stars, maybe even 5. This one, 9 Days and 9 Nights by Katie Katugno. This is probably one of the worst books that I've read, along with 99 Days. 99 Days was pretty bad. This one was worse. And I can't see how, this right here, I'm not even sure who this is directed towards, because it can't be 12 or 13-year-olds, because there's adult matters in here, but yet YA, I think if you're 16 or 17 years old, I think that that's going to be too old. It's definitely, I just don't know. It's petty. The situations that she got herself in was all her fault. It was all her fault. She goes from brother to brother, and it's sad, and it's just, And so in this one, she's with somebody completely different, and they go on vacation, and she runs into one of the brothers, and guess what happens? Yeah, this book, terrible. Terrible, 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 terrible. One of the worst books I've read this year. And then the last book is this one right here. This is Because You Love to Hate Me. And this right here has 13 booktubers who went ahead and collabed with some famous authors. And I love some of the stories in here, and other ones not so much. My favorite one was probably by Victoria Schwab. And definitely, let me see, what was the name? What was the name? Andrew Smith. So I definitely want to go ahead and check out some Andrew Smith books. So that is all 12 of my books. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more makeup and book stuff. And yeah, so I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!